We here will be watching this match, Space Station Gaming going up against Team Peps. They are all fantastic games, so I hope you just have 4 monitors open at all times.
For your own sanity, I would suggest that you don't try to watch 4 games of Overwatch at once. What could go wrong?
Let's give you a reason to watch ours if you just want to stick to one, and that is going to be the reason. I mean, Space Station Gaming, everything we've seen thus far was very London Spitfire-esque, I dare say. They obviously had an easy time going through the groups. They 2-0'd them, no problem at all. And they didn't miss a beat trying to go for them Brawl heroes. We saw a lot of Ramatra coming out of Space Station.
Yeah, a lot of Ramatra, and I mean, it's a pretty interesting team because they started out in Stage 1 earlier this year to actually become quite adept at dive, playing a lot of dive composition with how they're playing the Winston, for example. Psycho coming into this roster, providing some of that Echo Tracer play, for example. But now in Stage 2, as you said, picking up more of the Ramatra, Hadi playing that bit of a brawlier hero, and also Sparker over on the Cassidy. You know, we even saw a lot of Sojourn in Overwatch 2 in general. We've seen Sojourn for like 2 years now, but actually we're seeing Cassidy kind of back in the meta. It's a comfort hero for Sparker, and it's really aiding and shutting down some of these enemy tracers, right? So it's a good stage for Space Station Gaming, and I think because of that, Space Station is the favorite of a lot of people.
EMEA teams and Brawl heroes, name a more iconic duo. I don't think I can. Now, Team Peps on the other side, smooth sailing against one-man army in their Group C decider match, which was the last time we saw them play. Also, we saw Ben Best being subbed in there, playing Orisa, but also the Winston, and their dive actually looked really solid. It was something that people questioned prior to that. It just didn't look like they were on the same page. This time around, they seemed really solid. So the changes they made between Stage 1 and 2 seem to really work out for them, Jake.
Yeah, this roster has been completely retooled with a lot different players. That they've looked a lot stronger, even pushing ENCE to a very, very close series, a team that I wouldn't have. You know, I think if you can play ENCE close, you look like a serious contender, right? Even taking maps up them is huge. So I have to give Peps a chance. However, I think Space Station is going to be another very challenging opponent. Still considering Space Station the favorite, especially because in the end, I think the dive will be strong on certain maps, but I think there's a lot of rush. I think the meta is going to subtly lean towards rush. If you do go dive, you might keep most of these rush heroes, the Lucio, the Kiri, and just swap the Winston, keeping most of the comp stable. So I think that is going to play to the favor of Space Station. Can they swap between dive and rush without making roster changes? I'm not sure if Peps can follow that, but if they can, this could be a very good series.
Well, we're about to find out because the game is ready, so are we, and that means that I now have the utmost pleasure of handing it over to our lovely casting duo for the EMEA region today, Necra and Jaws.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Johnny has the cheekiest smile on his face when we had it over. I don't know. Just the way you looked at me, Johnny, it looked a little sus.
That's a look of love.
Yeah, maybe it was a little
I'm
love.
excited.
I'm not sure. I'm excited too. Yes, Rose. We're so back. We're so back in the studio too. Space Station Gaming versus Peps. Main event for Stage 2. Spitfire want to reclaim some glory after getting knocked out, well, you could say pretty early on in Stage 1.
I think so, yeah. I think that Space Station Gaming, especially coming into the main event, they are set up for more success than main event 1. Not only does this team look way more drilled and practiced, feels like Funny Astro's slotting into this roster a lot better than what we ended up seeing in that main event 1 as well. But I think just in general, the team looks way more confident being able to come into a lot of these matches. But similarly, I think Team Peps made a bunch of adjustments to their roster that also make them look easily a top 4 contender for EMEA. So Jaws, I'm excited that we get a chance to start off our main event with this one.
Oh yes, Nepal is the first map as well, coming up on your screens just a moment as we load in. Match 1 of main event here in Stage 2. Space Station Gaming want to reclaim some of that glory, and Team Peps, like you said, Rose, maybe fighting for that 4th spot, right? I mean, we saw at the standings a little bit earlier on in terms of circuit points. There's a little bit of a gap between 3rd and 4th right now, but that could open up here. We'll have to see if Peps, what they've got to bring to the table, because a lot of teams over the last few weeks, Rose, it's been a bit of roster mania. Space Station Gaming, on the other hand, they haven't made any changes whatsoever.
They haven't, and I think that gives them a leg up when it comes down to playing in a meta that requires a lot of team synergy. You need to be confident in order to make those aggressive plays, and you also want to feel confident in how you're going to execute those game plans. But on both sides, even though we've seen a lot of Orisa, it's going to be Ramatra.
Yeah, Ram instead. Like Jay was saying, a little bit of rush. Don't mind some of that. Orisa does a lot of things what Ramatra does, and sometimes a little bit better. Surprised not seeing at least one Orisa on this side of the screen. But, well, Sparker clicking heads, as always. Taking down Naga super early on. Spacestation probably wanted to be able to push this. A little bit too scared of FD God with the boop, so they're going to take the point for free. It's going to be Backbone, just icicle from across the map. And here comes the small push. Easy double kill there for Sparker. Picks up his second of the map. Same with Landon getting his name on the board as well.
I love this composition from Space Station because it gives me a bunch of flashbacks to what we ended up seeing from London Spitfire. The May coming out from Backbone, Sparker being able to play the Cassidy alongside Landon. There's just a lot of raw damage on the board here for Space Station, especially if they're able to force Team Peps to use a bunch of those cooldowns, like the accretion coming out from Tread. There's way less fear to be able to approach a lot of these team fights, getting that Cassidy up close and personal.
Oh, FD God trying to hit the off angle right now, get a little bit damage in. I did ask Astro how he felt about this map coming into it. He's like, you know, I gave him he gave me one word, and it was domination. And currently that is very much what's happening right now. Hardy scoring 2 there, both backliners down. I mean, look, Sparker, Landon's best hero, the BAP. Sparker, one of his best heroes, the Cass. I mean, what more can you really ask for? 2 of the best on their roles, and I'd say best in EU as well, Rose. Exodio's also been a standout star, though, over the group stage. It's definitely worth pointing out, a brand new addition to Team Peps, of course.
And it's looking really, really good. ExoDL comes over from Sheer Cold, maybe one of the reasons why Sheer Cold was able to get as far as they did in the very first stage of EMEA OWCS. But with the Sojourn, has been able to have some big pop-offs with something like those charged railgun shots. A little bit harder to get in the mix, though, if you can't find those wide angles. And poor Landon.
Nice Blizzard as well by Naga. Beautiful stuff. Oh, FD got dived by Funny Astro off screen. You see Astro skating away back to spawn. Space Station Gaming only using their window in that fight as well. They got caught off guard by the Blizzard from Peps, but you come back in with 4 ults, don't have to deal with a Blizzard or a window. You've got to get Sound Barrier and the Annihilation out of Team Peps, but should be pretty easy. They can clear a lot of space here, even with this high noon as well. Force Team Peps on a rotation they don't want to take.
Right, Space Station can play this really reactively when they have all of these ultimates at their disposal. So just force Team Peps into a position where here's the Annihilation.
There's the B. This high noon's almost fully charged. That lamp needs to die. Eventually falls over. Annihilation in the front line for Hardy. Tread forced all the way back. A boop onto Sparker. FD God not managing to secure a kill. It's actually Astro that kills Tread in the end, and there goes Crook. Blizzard on the point. They didn't even need it for the frontline fight, and that is Space Station Gaming taking round number 1.
Very convincingly at that. Team Peps were able to sneak away the point for a short while, but Space Station played a lot of those fights very economically, were able to get so much value out of the ultimates that they did end up using, and in fact, didn't need very many, if at all, to win those fights, and I would consider that to be a huge win for them. But being able to play to some of their strengths, especially with Backman on the May, backing up Sparker and Landon on their preferred heroes in those roles, it just feels so good to watch Space Station approach this with such dominance.
See if Peps want to roll with the Orisa this time. Do you remember seeing a interview with Commander X? Tread was on there, just talking about the team and talking about how they feel about this match, and he was saying, I just want to kind of counter-pick Hardy. So maybe that's kind of the game plan here. Not too much of a surprise, to be very honest with you. You want to stand up to some of the big boys. Hardy definitely being one of them. Both in physical form. Guy is large. Humongous muscles on him
jacked.
too. He is pretty jacked. I mean, I think Gushui will...
Called chatty for a reason.
Exactly. Gushui's got something to say about that, for sure. Maybe you've seen that clip from World Cup. Pretty impressive. Or from finals, sorry. All right, Team Peps, what you got for us? Exodio on a flank right now, charging up that railgun. Sparker taking a lot of damage to the front line, but it's actually landing that falls first. Hardy already popping that Nemesis form, unable to really stay alive. Without the ability to get held up by Landon, you're pretty dead. Backbone just wanting to die on the point, although almost taking down Crook there with a nice little bit of teleport play. It'll be Sparker taking the head off of Naga, but he's on Trace, should get back pretty quickly, and that will be Peps capping. Yeah, someone's going to stand on the point. There you go. All right, all good. Peps, get the first cap.
Don't worry, don't worry. They will go back and be able to capture that point. Space Station, they want to commit to this composition once again. That Symmetric Teleporter is really great to be able to close the distance on something like the Orisa, but you have to be really careful because one of the things you want to do against this Orisa is force out as many cooldowns as possible. If you get the Spear Spin out of the way, it's a little bit easier to be able to get in there with all of that extra damage.
Oh, not going to be in a good stand right now. There's the window counter to this overclock. Well, they're trying to counter it as much as possible. Just force Exodial to make a small rotation, but they've got to watch out on the sidelines. Once again, Landon is just picked out of there. Naga from one end, Exodial from the other. Really nice stuff there. Pincering Landon. I mean, you're one of the best in Europe on BAP, that is for sure, but you can't do much if you're dead. Nice little snipe there onto Hardy. Good start from Team Peps. Got a lot of ultimates to this next fight as well. Sound barrier for both Space Station and Team Peps. This next fight is going to be a long one, especially with Trev being able to keep himself alive too in the front line with that ult.
For sure, and so the later beat going to be really effective here, especially if you're able to match it beat for beat and you feel like you as a team are in a good position to be able to do that. But I look at the Terror Surge just as a way to help displace some of these members on Space Station, but like you have a lot of ways to be able to get out of that, especially with the Symmetric Teleporter being on cooldown.
It looked almost too obvious there. That Terror Surge coming in. Sound barrier comes out as well as that lamp. Not many defensive tools there for Space Station. Naga with a beautiful stick on the back line. That's extra damage on top of Backbone too. Double kill for the Tracer. Final fight for Space Station here. That was really patient of Naga too. Lamp was down, Beat was down, and even the Casti roll was also down, so there was no chance there for Sparker to stay alive. Don't want to play too far up, don't want to get magnated, but this is final fight now, Rose.
It looks like Team Peps are going to be able to come away with this one.
Oh, maybe not. Okay, there's a wall on the point. Using more like a Ryan Shield this time around, but Team Peps more than happy to push through that. Backbone was there to touch. There's one low health Kiri Crook on the point. FD God falls, and there you go. Support the backline, the backbone of the team, if you will, in Team Peps is down. Nice teleport there from Backbone, getting the touch. That wall also helped the rest of Space Station move up to the point without any damage being flung their way. They do find the flip.
This is where I start to get a little bit worried if Space Station can keep it, though, because Exodial, DPS that we've been praising as just a really bright, up-and-coming DPS player for EMEA, has got this overclock online, and one thing that Exodial knows how to do is click heads. So if you can play the Sojourn at range, get this overclock going, then you might be able to get a big pick.
Well, there's the overclock. Can he find any heads, though? That's the question. He's got a few people in his sights, but there comes the window. A little bit later, Astro taking 2 shots there. A miracle that Astro stayed alive. And we Team Peps right now just being a little patient, wait for the window to dissipate, and then try and make their move. They've got a rush, of course, Rose, so they could just lay that out on the point if they want to, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Push onto the point, try and force Hardy's positioning, but this Annihilation will be quite the thorn in the side here for Team Peps. That was quite cheeky as Sparker. Does get punished for it too. Sound barrier from Astro's coming up, but they shouldn't need it as Team Peps. They're just gonna get wiped, this Annihilation, a little bit too strong for them. That rush, Rose, didn't really get anything there. Got them some positioning, but that was about it. Good disengage from Space Station.
Really good, and this is where Funny Astro can come in, just being able to not only help speed away the team, but knowing that you have a teleporter as well, there's a lot of tools to be able to kite away from the damage that Team Peps is going to be laying down. Being able to play from the defensive position as well gives Space Station a little bit more agency to be able to use those tools more reactively, but they've got to watch out for Naga, who's able to get that big 2-pick earlier on.
Nice beat. B coming in, late one from FD God, unable to save Tread. There's the stick on the Bab. Landon soaring to the sky there as he explodes into a million pieces. Astro getting chased down as well. Naga killing both the backliners, and Hardy just left alone on an island there. I mean, without Tread, you're thinking there's no real front line, but Naga just settles the score with Space Station. Tread comes back on the Doomfist for just a full group up as Backbone tries to stall out for some additional time, but no, it is Team Peps at 99%, ticking over. We'll take the second round. That was almost a complete flip there from Space Station, but Naga coming alive.
It's so awesome to watch how the Tracer is able to navigate some of those backline components, and also it is way harder to stick those pulse bombs now. So very impressive that Naga was not only able to get 2 kills with the pulse bomb earlier on in that map, but also being able to finish it up with just some really extreme damage there, sticking it onto Landon and then being able to get Funny Astro down as well. Really love to see Naga be able to show up in that type of way. But heading over to Village, this is where we see a bit of a reversion of that Orisa going back over to the Ramatra. But Jaws, this is where they struggled. On Sanctum, Tread had a lot of difficulty being able to get up and close and personal to Space Station and actually find ways to make this Ramatra work. So I'd love to see if Team Peps can turn it around here.
FT got going down first. Not really what you want to see from your Lucio. but Sparker's going to hit you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Doesn't matter how slippery you are on Lucio, he's going to get you eventually. These teleport plays as well, Rose, are going to be quite tricky for Peps to play around too. Backbone is he's so well versed on the silly heroes. the Sim, the Mei, anything rather silly, Backbone is pretty damn good at. There's the cap for Space Station.
We'd love to see him play Junkrat maybe one of these times. Maybe, oh yeah, gonna be able to give him a bit of inspiration there. But no, they do get the point capture first, but take a look at how quickly they're able to engage.
Ooh, FD managed to get out of there. Not entirely sure how. Heidi with the Nemesis for. Trying to make sure this point doesn't get flipped over, but he might have to let it go. Yeah, he does. Teleport play was nice, but they didn't actually end up coming up with a kill. Space Station now going for this reflip, and Tread doing exactly the same thing Hardy was doing a second ago. Crook is keeping everybody alive, and that window's up at 5%, but they need it right now. They do end up using it, and there comes the sound barrier from Space Station. They really want to get this point flipped, and they do so quite successfully. Just looking for flanks now, knowing this window is going to disappear rather soon. Nice TP from Sparker, straight back to the point again. They're so good at these teleports. It does remind me of Twisted Minds back in Stage 1. And here comes the sound barrier, a later one from Peps. Annihilation from Hardy, only 5% away as he receives the lamp just to be kept alive on the corner. Although now he's 70 HP and Annihilation comes out. A TP high noon from Sparker as he lands himself in the backline. Someone's going to have to clear him. Someone please look at Sparker. Someone's going to have to get him eventually. Exodio down. Another double tap there from Sparker 2. Ends Crook's life. I mean, you may have got the flip, Peps, but the team fight's already over. These TP plays from Backbone and Sparker looking so clean.
They look so good, and especially when they're able to play in tandem like that. Sparker with this Cassidy has just been clicking heads left and right. Those critical hits hurt, and you're able to get like a 2-tap onto Naga very easily. Exodial is also going to be very close to going down to something like that, so you gotta be able to kind of keep an eye out on where Sparker's going to try to take these flanks, especially when the Cassidy can play that much closer to the team, and Exodial is going to find more value taking these longer angles.
No, well, Exodial... Overclock, it looks pretty cool, but what's even cooler? A giant wall that you can't shoot through. Oh dear, FD got an Exodial dead. Quick reset from Peps, they got one more fight.
One more fight, and they also have the ultimates to do it. You could put Landon now on the Baptiste next to somebody like Sparker on the flank, just continue to amplify that damage that Sparker is putting onto the off angles, and Funny Astro as well, working up to the sound barrier. Feels like the Space Station have a good idea of closing the fight.
Someone needs to touch. I believe that was Naga that was getting a brief one there. Has to hit that recall though. Heard that from a mile off, and I think so did Space Station as well, so doesn't have to worry about Naga for at least for a couple of seconds. 2 windows coming out, and now Sparker, he doesn't fear anything at all. Peeks the window, doesn't care, Magnate on the side. Someone please look at Sparker. FD got down, so the Team Peps will lie. 99% to 100, and there you go. Space Station with a 2-0 victory. I mean, Sparker, you just got to look at him. Just once. Just tag him. Tag him down.
He's too bright.
Too bright.
How do you look right at a sun? You know?
But you know, okay, yeah, fair enough. I mean, so look, yeah, okay. You'll damage your eyes if you're looking at the sun, but someone's got to look at him. Someone's got to tag him. Just check Sparker on the flank, because that's what, like 2 or 3 fights back to back there, where he's just off, either with a TP or just kind of walks there. Like, yeah, it's rough. And with Sparker and Landon being some of the very best on their individual roles and individual heroes too, you can see why Space Station are really trying to cement their name here in main stage 2.
They just look so confident being able to put Sparker next to Backbone on the Symmetro or Landon on the Baptiste. Those amplification matrices made that Cassidy that much more deadly. And when you're playing around the teleporter too, that's part of the reason why it's so difficult to look at Sparker. Not just because he's that bright star, but because he's just, where did he go? Huh? Like 1 minute he's there and the next second he's gone.
Someone just needs to check him on the sidelines. Easier said than done, to be fair. I mean, you want to use that window to try and obviously amplify the damage, walk through onto the point, hopefully get some kills, hopefully pressure, but it's real tough. Especially when you got Landon too. Not something that should be ignored. That bat through the window still does a fair amount of damage, and yeah, just the ability to TP too is just exceptional. I love watching the Sim TP plays. I mean, when Sim in the Rhine is like, oh, you can TP Shadow, that's pretty cool. What's even cooler? TP High Noon into your backline. That's even better. It's pretty scary stuff. Although Naga is kind of coming alive here on the Tracer. This round specifically, huge pulse bomb kills, and like just dealing with the backline in almost a 2v1 was just exceptional. Exodio not quite just yet showing up, but it is Naga lifting a lot of the heavy weight right now. We'll see if that can continue.
I think it's tough too because you look at the differences between playing a Sojourn in your team versus playing the Cassidy. And one of the reasons why this teleporter play was also just so exceptional is Sojourn has one mobility tool, the power slide. If that's off cooldown, it is way more difficult for you to be able to grab that rotation in order to find an angle onto somebody like Sparker. So that was another way that Space Station was using those teleporters to be so tricky, which is to just keep Sparker out of the LOS of Exodeal.
God, look at these clips. Just completely ignore. That's what you want as a DPS.
Crazy.
Just, hey, don't look at me. I'm just shooting you in the back. Nice updated graphic screen here as well. There you go. Eichenwalder is our next map. So we jump into that in just a moment. 100 limbs to 80, not bad. Pretty similar stats across the board, to be honest with you. Rather reminiscent of Control. I mean, it's a pretty scrappy game mode. But yeah, Eichenwalder up next. What do you really expect we see here, Rose? I think with Space Station Gaming, it's kind of their bread and butter. They just want to either run the Rush or they can run the Orisa. But it's going to be Cass, it's going to be BAP. And there's been a lot of kind of talk recently in the community about the Kiri Soj versus like Cass BAP. A lot of the time, and what me and Scott were saying the other week as well, was like, it feels like personal preference, but with Space Station, their roster, my God, you just stick on the Cass and the BAP. Like, Landon and Spark are just so sick. And then, you know, Hardy can just flex to whatever he wants to too. We might even see a little bit of dive, hopefully. We'll have to wait and see that.
I think we could. I think when it comes down to both of these different tanks, we've seen a lot of different tank choices coming out from them. Sigma, Orisa, Ramatra, Winston. So it wouldn't surprise me to see any of those picks come out from either Hottie or Tread. But when you take a look at the Lucio impact, I think this is something we just simply can't ignore, Jaws, is how Funny Astro and FD God are slotting into these rosters.
Yeah, I mean, Funny Astro, definitely one of the best Lucios in the world. Like, mechanically, guys, a nutcase. FD God is up there as well. Although, yeah, on the winning side, you expect Astro to be doing a little bit more, obviously. The KDAs are pretty crazy there, 7.3 to 1.9. Do have a small substitution, though, for Space Station. Backbone out for Eichenwalder. It will be Psycho in.
All right, so whenever we see Psycho being able to come into the roster, I think it's really interesting to see what he is going to end up playing. Typically, it's been the Tracer, especially if you look at their most recent match versus Ex Oblivione. It was the Tracer alongside Sparker's Cassidy that was able to have such a big impact on Samoa, Midtown, and Esperanza. But going over to Eichenwalder, Tracer still makes a very good choice here, and especially if you have to go up against a Tracer player like Naga, it feels like you almost have to match that in that type of way.
Yeah, Tracer seems like the perfect call here. Well, you can do some cheeky stuff with TPs with the or the May or whatever, but yeah, it seems a little bit more beneficial to the Tracer. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can play in Eichenwalder on all 3 points. I have to wait and see what they want to roll out with. I wasn't expecting, apart from like Chasm playing Ball, but with Ball's update, I'm like, man, we could really be in for a ball battle. Like seeing the patch notes and then obviously being put into the game straight away. I'm like, is it really wreckable time? Are we really going to start seeing that? But there's a lot of things that kind of counter the ball. Like it feels very much more of a solo queue, like quick play kind of change. It doesn't really affect like the top end unless, like I said, you're Chasm. So I don't think we're going to see Hattie's famous Wrecking Ball play. It will just be Team Peps on the defense here and Tread on the Orisa.
Yeah, when it comes down to the patch notes, yes, we ended up getting a patch in the middle of our group stages, but the biggest impact we ended up seeing is actually to the Pulse Bomb. The Pulse Bomb-based projectile size decreased, so the total projectile size is roughly about 0.25 meters, which makes a lot of difference. You're seeing maybe a little bit less impact from those Pulse Bombs to be able to get a stick or be able to get a kill. So it's really impressive now that we're able to see those still come through from these top-level Tracer players. Wrecking Ball, I still don't think we're going to see it outside of Chasm and all, yeah.
And now I can never hit a Pulse Bomb again. So, yeah, excellent patch. Tread's 1 HP. My word, Sparker was just laying into him in the front line. So the best thing you do is the Cassidy there, just force the Orisa gold. Exodia in a little bit of trouble. I'm not sure they're going to be able to stand up tall here. Nice little Magnate though. Astro tanked that one. You saw Astro limping away, just trying to walk a wall ride, but you get hindered. There is a kill onto Hardy, which will mean a complete reset. 59% on the board. Pretty quick cap there by Space Station. But they only get that 33%. They didn't get to 66, unfortunately.
They're still able to get in very quickly with this style of composition, but the biggest difference is that Team Peps has switched Exodial over to that Cassidy. So we're going to end up seeing a little bit more damage coming through from Team Peps, just being able to play something that has a little bit closer range.
Dear God. Exodia don't want that smoke. He's out of there. Every time Exodia peaks, Sparker's already got 2 shots lined up for him. Nice little rotation here. However, Pep's going to try and counteract that with the sound barrier. Later one from Funny Astro. Nargling for a pulse bomb. Should be a pretty easy one. I mean, there's no way Lander survives this, surely. Lamp goes down, somehow gets in, and the pulse bomb lands, but it might be too little too late for Naga unless he can come up with something beautiful. Funny Astro with a couple of kills and Annihilation on the point to stop that Kitsune Rush getting anything done. And there you go, Space Station with a cap on first.
That was a really expensive fight on both sides, but it felt like it was even more expensive for Team Peps. Using that Kitsune Rush, still not really finding the value or struggling to, as we saw in that map number 1. And now that is an ultimate that you're not going to have coming up into this close quarters fight near the doors. Team Peps is already getting set up, though, within this castle. That's definitely not a place I feel like you would want to take a fight, but Space Station have a couple more tools to be able to deal with that, especially when you look at something like that AoE Immortality field if they do want to take a small room, tiny Overwatch fight.
I can do that. Not sure they want to do it without the Annihilation would be quite annoying, but luckily Hardy used that last fight. God, Lannon, being able to stay alive in the BAP is just so difficult sometimes. No Swift Step, no Suzu kind of deal. You got the lamp to kind of save you, right? But BAP, a lot of the time, harder to kind of stay alive and execute on because you lack the mobility of the Swift Step from the Kiriko. Nice kill initially there by Team Peps. They forced the issue, just getting another one. See what Space Station can do here. They're going to maybe forward hold. I mean, they can do as well. There's the High Noon.
Terra Surge.
Exodial getting sped up through that window, though. Exodial's going to be... He's in a little bit of trouble. Did get Suzu by Crook, but look at FD God and Naga completely split up. That was almost a perfect response there from Space Station Gaming. They see Team Peps walk up with the High Noon. He's getting sped up. They put window down. It's like, now you can't collapse in on us again. Nice reactionary play there from Space Station Gaming to stop the spawn hold.
Especially when you see Team Peps so close to your spawn, it feels really good to have an ultimate like that, to be able to play it reactively, as you mentioned. And Space Station, they're able to get out of the doors, and they still have so many other tools to work with. Team Peps approaching for the high ground. They still haven't had a chance to use this Terra Surge, but do the Kitsune Rush back.
Yeah, goodbye. It's so funny with High Noon, because you stand there, and the Orisa just does not care. Like, you've got High Noon, sure. Nope. I have 3 billion health, Fortify and Spear Spin, and I will punch you in the face until you die. Like, it's a little ridiculous. Spark, it was worth the effort, you know, like, maybe the Orisa backs up, maybe the team backs up, but yeah, Sparker unable to build up to all those skulls for those insta-kills. Nice
hey, to be fair, Cassidy with the High Noon is not always going to find the value that we would consider in something like a solo queue game, right? Even if you've got the Cassidy on the off flank, there's way too much team play in order to deal with that, like the Spear Spin or even just kiting away from that damage.
That was a really nice play from Psycho there, Rose. Actually touched the payload, spotted out Naga on the high ground. So Naga can't now drop on to Space Station, so they're a little bit more free to kind of walk through the open area of that lower castle. Annihilation for Hardy, has to hold up the arms there. Takes a fair amount of damage, and that Annihilation will eventually wear off as Team Peps are able to spear him away, but now they're going to try and flip the map. There's this sound barrier coming in from Space Station Gaming. As that Terra Surge just landed straight on top of them, pulled them all together, but Tread just so isolated in the side. Pulse on from Naga, connects once more, but Landed had the lamp. And FD God, yeah, that's a rather unfortunate death there. And that should be cap. I don't think there's any much more Team Peps can do in this fight. They were just too split up. Team Peps end up falling there. And with 2 minutes and 45 on the clock, Space Station Gaming cracking down the doors of the castle.
Really nice approach from Space Station, especially recognizing that Tread could be isolated. I don't know why. Okay, Psycho just I guess keeping Naga busy for a little while, but
They can go fast now.
that's it. Yeah, like that's unfortunate that Naga is stuck back there because that is a 5v4.
High noon. Mixodial round the corner. Unfortunately, Hardy's skull wasn't built up there quite enough. Oh, Naga has joined the team again. We're back onto a regular 5v5. Back to normal Overwatch, finally. Hardy planting the shield on the sidelines, using that little vortex as well. Everybody kind of stuck in that one. And now Spark can use this high noon if he really wants to. Wants to be out to back up first, I would imagine, but there comes the rush. We know the high ground's going to be rather useful. This high noon can be even more deadly now. Oh, Naga, what? How did Naga get away from that Magnate? I traveled like 1 mile an hour. Nice little spear onto Sparker there, cancels the high noon, but still just chunking away at that front line. God, Tread must be out of resources at this point. You can see how cautious he's playing in this corner, just making sure he can get the CDs back up again. Spear spin used, but the payload's still moving. Sound Barrier comes in to counteract this annihilation. Hardy with his hands up, focusing Tread's going to be the course of action here, and a later Sound Barrier from Astro yet again should see them through this fight rather easily. Space Station Gaming once more rose, pulling that Sound Barrier last, just getting the better beat. And the Annihilation, you know, it's got quite a short timer, but if you're taking people down, it might as well last for eternity. Space Station Gaming capped the point with 1 minute and 22 left in the bank.
That last team fight is such a good example of how teams are trying to play around an Orisa. Wait for those cooldowns to be online. You call that how scared. Tread was playing in a corner, didn't have the spear spin up, but when that was, he was able to peek his head out a little bit further. And that's really how you have to play these matchups. And I think something that might be a little bit difficult for Team Peps to have to deal with when it comes down to what Space Station are playing is there's very few teams right now in EMEA OWCS, if you're watching the main stream, that are actually playing the Ramatra. Everybody favoring playing the Orisa instead. So how practiced do Team Peps really feel against playing Space Station that whenever they set their mind on something and they have this one composition that they play, they get really, really good at it.
Sometimes there's not enough practice in the world for Sparker landing headshots, though. That's the big problem. You saw him every single time, right? Just peeking around the corner, not playing on like a super wide angle, but just chunking Tread over and over and over and over again. It's real rough for the Orisa. We'll see what Peps can do on their offense, though. And like I mentioned before, Rose, it's worth keeping in mind, like, with the distance between the Kiri and the BAP, it's so much harder for Landon to kind of play, not aggro, but, and you don't really want to off-angle as the BAP at all, but it's a little bit more rough because you don't have the mobility like the Kiriko does. You can't climb walls, you know. You got your exo boots, but, you know, they're pretty easy to kind of calculate. It's it can be really rough, but you can see how good Landon is, but just his ability to stay alive, it's a little bit wild.
Playing the Baptiste right now certainly is more punishable than the Kiriko because you don't have the Swift Step, but that's also where Funny Astro has really been able to put in that legwork to help keep Landon alive near just as much as Landon is doing that vice versa.
Naga was getting battle rifled there. Landon backing up. Oh, Naga from the sidelines. You see Sparker just, woo! One click on the head. Tread's trying to kill Max here, just trying to get as many picks as possible, or stagger maxing, I should say. Goodbye. Goodbye, team. All right, quick reset. It's a minute burned off the clock, not too bad. And with Naga dead too, Rose, it's really rough because you don't have that flank pressure either, although Sparker's always going to be checking you, but it's always worth having the Tracer, so the supports have to look 2 different ways at once.
Psycho, look how far forward he was playing as well, just to continue to keep some pressure onto Team Peps, and that also gives you a bit of sight onto where Naga might be trying to get that flank as well. You can see Naga taking this approach through the right-hand side, but still backing up to try to play with the team.
Really early window here from Space Station Gaming. I should say right on time. I mean, Crook's also got the rush. There's the window. Spear spin. Tread's going to have to resource Max right now in order to stay alive. Nice little stick on the back. No Suzu, no gold, no spin. Easy pulse for Psycho.
It's so tough too because you have to wait to be able to weave stuff in when you make sure that like the Suzu is down, all of those cooldowns as well for the Orisa, but we're gonna get a pause, which with about 2 minutes left on the clock here for Team Peps to continue to make that attack. But it is, you can see the pressure that like a Tracer can have, especially when there is a Tracer on the other team.
Just getting word in, it's a mouse issue. Someone didn't charge their mouse. at the very beginning of the day. I don't know if it's the charge. It could be anything. Fluff in the little sensor or whatever. You know the sensors that are invisible? I don't know if you ever did it in school, but you're like, oh, laser mouse, look at them. Although I'm old enough at this point to also have gone to school with the ball mice. So yeah, it really shows the age there. Sad stuff.
I never had a mouse in school. Like, we never had our own computers.
Oh, I was like, wait, what did you use?
We had to go to the library.
Rose is sitting there on a terminal, like she's playing Fallout 3, just like hacking in. or maybe
we didn't have a laptop. We didn't have like a tablet. Nothing. We all had to take handwritten notes.
That's insane. Wait a second. Where did you go to Where did you go to school in the Dark Ages?
Is that weird?
God damn. Well, hopefully we're going to get back into the game in just a moment after the mouse issue has been sorted. But yeah, I mean, good first couple of attempts there from Peps, just unable to really crack that defense of Space Station Gaming. Psycho, and you can see how hard it is a lot of the time to get pulse bombs off and like all the abilities you have to list to get through. Suzu, they've got no gold, they have no spear spin, like, oh my god, like so many. But like just the patience there from Psycho really paying off in the end of it all. We're going to jump to a quick break. Do not go anywhere, just getting this mouse issue sorted. We'll be back in for Eichenwalder after this.
Begin the excavation log. Sloan Cameron here on side to Petra. Me and the Whitefinders just found the coolest artifact I think I've ever... Again? Come on! Whoa. If you want to mess with these artifacts, you gotta go through me. Hey, I'm on to you! I gotta tell you, I wanna scream it out. I'm gonna show you, here's what it's all about. Up top, you big doofus. Rock and roll! Just can't believe my eyes. Oh, me. Oh, my. I got something to catch your eye. Oh, me. Oh, my. I got something that you can't deny. Excavation initiation! Time to really drill it in. Oh my, I just can't believe my eyes. We did it! We had a party or what? Whoa, no way.
Welcome back. Venture, not available right now, but the players will be able to play them in Dallas, if they make it there, of course, which is all on the line right now. We're going to get back in, and it was Psycho's mouse, by the way, running out of power. I was correct, I guessed, but it did happen, but it's all good. He replaced the AAAs. I don't know what he uses. He's probably just charging it up, but all good. Psycho's back in, Space Station are back in, Peps are on the attack. Here's 2 minutes to go, and Naga is 1 HP and requires heals.
Hey, Psycho's got to be locked in, right? To get all of those cool Tracer 1 clips? Absolutely.
Oh, wall pulse. All good, though. Happens to the best of us. That almost went down to it, too, to be fair. FT Gold already falling to Psycho. Rush on the point. There's the Annihilation. That double Nemesis form really helping Hardy stay alive. And Tread, once again, just setting its team up with the Terror Surge at the very... Oh, okay. Okay. You can type sit in for that one. Just a little AFK, just hit the flick shot. Love to see that. Exodius doesn't end up falling, but yeah, Team Peps real struggling here. 1 minute and 15 to go. Space Station just seems like another day in the office, honestly.
This is realistically Team Peps' final chance at an attack on Eichenwald. So if they don't get it done here, then this is just going to be the end of the map. They do have the overclock from Exodial. It's been a little bit quiet this entire series so far, but maybe that's what Team Peps need on an off angle.
That shield from Hardy, like a fraction of a second too late to save Sparker. There's the double kill. Brand new superstar to Team Peps. Exodial has been lighting up the stage, honestly, in the group stage, and well, he's proven that he's going to keep the team in it. 4 kills for the Soj, 30 seconds to go for Team Peps, and there's the point.
Bought themselves a little bit of extra life with such a big overclock coming out from that little superstar. But FD God, with the sound barrier as well, Team Peps, they have a little bit of momentum now pushing into this second point. They could use the sound barrier to be able to play a little bit more aggressively, especially if Space Station want to play a little bit more up close. So it feels good to have that, knowing you've got the barrier advantage overall when Funny Astro doesn't have it.
Oh, unlucky there, Psycho. Oh, maybe not so, maybe not so unlucky. Exodia received a sound barrier there, so Psycho can one clip and force to use that pulse bomb, but these very early fights from a Space Station, I am a fan. Can Psycho get out of here too? He's gonna pick up the mini. Surely doesn't get one more kill. They got to shut down the Tracer eventually. There you go, but still burning a lot of time off the time bank. It's gonna be tough for them to push over this bridge. I mean, they put, what, like 40 seconds there or so? Space Station Gaming now regrouping us 5 on the high ground.
But yeah, it has been really good to watch these really big aggressive plays come out from Space Station. It's a huge punch. Landed picking up Exodial too.
Man, that's such a large ultimate to lose too on that push. Seems like the perfect spot to kind of use that rush, but as you come up the stairs, the angles which you can kind of peek up at are so rough, and you could see Exodial trying to negate a lot of that by sliding over Hardy, but like you said, Rose, he just kind of sky uppercutted Exodial into the stratosphere, so rather unlucky, but it was worth the attempt. 1 minute and 30 seconds to go. Peps not looking so hot right now, with Space Station Gaming got all the answers that Peps are throwing at him.
Yeah, I mean, Peps only have the Terror Surge right now, not necessarily an ultimate you look at to be super flashy, being able to get those picks, and especially when Funny Astro has a sound barrier, it's going to be even harder for Team Peps to use anything in conjunction with that Terror Surge, let alone by itself to find value. So a minute left on the clock, Team Peps staring on the barrel of being held on this point if they're not able to get themselves together.
Oh, he's just so clean. You're like, surely he won't tag me in Power Slide. Clueless. High noon available. Nice Terror Surge by Tread there. A lot of damage on land. He does end up getting stuck, and there's no Suzu. And Hardy is just going to pull the Annihilation. Hardy refusing to go down too. Pops the Nemesis form, refreshes all that armor. Like, you just get so tanky with the Annihilation, and then at the very end of the fight, there's no resources left to fight with. And now Peps are in final fight territory, and they're not even at the bridge.
I mean, Annihilation to push them back, Immortality Field to lock it down, didn't even have to use the sound barrier there. And Team Peps, you're right, they've got their work cut out for them. 15 seconds left.
Sound barrier from FD God has to go huge here. Someone has to touch too. It's going to be Naga getting the touch. Window from Landon, almost in the perfect spot. Couldn't ask for a better spot, honestly. All right, they're going to have to get the retouch again. Psycho did chase Naga off. Here comes the high ground push. Sound barrier comes in, but FD God's alone on the high ground. FD God is alone on the high ground. No one was there to kind of help him out. They do take care of Landon, and Sparky gets booped up too from low, straight into the Spear of Tread. Okay, little distraction technique there, it felt like, from FD God. Ended up working out. Tread had to drop to the ground super quickly. Space Station Gaming not ready for it, clearly, as Landon went down first. Here you go, though. Going to get another re-engage with a window available for Space Station.
Yeah, good response mechanism to have against this Kasune rush from level 1 Crook, but it's going to be way harder to actually touch to get the recontest.
They've got it. Psycho's on the point as well. Crook's already dead. There goes the backline. So close, yet so far from that third point. Space Station Gaming mop the floor with Peps. And they find themselves in a match point situation as well. 2-0 to start out the day.
Hey, that's the power of getting the mouse fully charged. Maybe take some time in the
100%
next
power,
map in between the next two to just like make sure it's like really charged and ready to go. But what I was gonna say before that fight ended so quickly was that it felt like it was gonna be more difficult for Spacestation to actually approach and be able to get that last second touch when you have to walk into the Kitsune rush. But of course, if you're Spacestation, you don't care. You have other ways to go around it. You've got the amplification matrix to help maybe push them back a little bit and just clean fundamentals.
Yeah, it was a 4-1 push there. 4 people went out one door. Psycho went round to touch, so they knew Psycho had touch, so they ended up pushing out the from RPOV, the right side of the castle, and then setting up window for them to basically just shoot. And shoot they did very, very well. And
Sparker, go kill.
Yeah, well, exactly right. And then Psycho's just there, perma touching the point. There was a very nice pick-off early on as well on level 1 Crook. Yeah, Team Peps down 2 maps right now. Freddy getting knocked to the lower bracket, which will see them a little bit later on as well. Spacestation Gaming, I mean, they're looking real good right now. Like you said, Rose, just pure fundamentals. Everybody playing their role exceptionally well. They're a scary team for sure. And they want first place here, Rose. Last event, last main stage, they did not get to where people expected them to. They got knocked down in lower semis to Ex-Oblivione, who's not here right now. So maybe that kryptonite is gone, right? That was a very tough series for them. But they're ready to stamp themselves as kind of top of the EMEA region. And they're starting off pretty well here, I'd say, with a 2-0 lead.
I'd say so as well. But yeah, last main event stage, they ended up getting 4th place, which was very much below everybody else's expectations and their own.
Oh, easily.
Being able to find their way back into a main event and just show us already such a dominant performance over a team that we've also said put in the legwork, made those adjustments in between stage 1 and 2. Team Peps really do look set up to potentially be easily a top 4 team in the EMEA region. I think that just shows what this team of Spacestation is capable of, being able to have such a dominant lead so far.
All right, there's the KDAs and all the stats on your screen. A lot of eliminations, of course. Other one was a little bit of a bloodbath, I'd say. 140 to 89 limbs. Damage mitigated, pretty similar. And a lot more damage done by Spacestation Gaming. But decent KD8 as well. I can tell that was the map. Yeah, so we're going into a map number 3, Rose. I mean, what a Peps really change up here? Because, and also, to be fair, we talked about it at the very top of the game too. There's a little bit of roster mania going on. Like, a lot of teams picking up individual players, or like they're dropping a couple. Like, Ents just picked up 2. Like, Chase obviously went to their team as well. There's been players being flung everywhere pretty much, but Spacestation Gaming sticking to the same old, and why change what's not broken? They didn't finish where they wanted to and where everybody expected them to in stage 1, but maybe they thought, you know, a little bit of an upset. We're happy with the core of the team, and maybe that's what's really being the driving force here, just being able to stick as the same core.
I mean, shout outs to Commander X, who's been doing incredible player interviews and coach interviews in the time in between OWCS days, but I was able to listen to the one that he did with Landon, and it was very clear just how much communication has really changed in the team. Not only is Hadi making those more aggressive calls, but like Landon and Funny Astro, they are actually playing a ton of ranked together as a duo, and that is just a way different testing environment that you can actually make sure that you do have those skills all put together in that synergy to keep each other alive. And you also have just such a flexible roster. We see Psycho now take a back seat for Backbone to come back in, and when we ended up seeing Backbone on that very first map, it's like same old Jaws. This is just a player that you expect to come out, play the Mei, the Symmetra, and just give us the good old like Reinhardt OTP comp we love from London Spitfire.
Well, Esperanza is the map picked by Spacestation Gaming. Yeah, Astro is a bit of a ranked fiend, or wild wolf. Just the most unhinged Smurf names. Ridiculous stuff. And yeah, so you expect them to be pretty much on the same page for that. And like being together as a team for so long, this is kind of what you kind of hope for teams, especially if you're getting in the upper echelon of OWCS, is you get a decent placing and then you just work on it. Just maybe you add a piece, but more often than not, you know, you stick as a whole squad. You're just going to be able to improve as a whole, and your team just unlimited amounts of success, well, like potential, sorry. Maybe unlimited amounts of success too. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how Spacestation does the rest of the tournament. But as we load in, Esperanza, Yeah, I think we can see a little bit of Ryan, but it's probably just going to be Rush, probably going to be the Ram. We'll see what Peps want to bring to the table, because Tread, like I mentioned before too, said, you know, I kind of want to counterpick Hardy. I kind of want to like bring it to him a little bit. You know, Hardy is an old, like an old head, like one of the old guard at this point, right? Tread, very much an up and comer, wants to prove himself.
For sure. And I think what better opponent to have to prove yourself than one of, if not the best tank player that EMEA has to offer.
Right.
And something that's been so fun about being able to watch Hadi pick up this Ramatra when most other teams are playing the Orisa is the acknowledgement of cooldowns you have to track from a player like Tread, who's been very, very strong on this Orisa for Team Peps, but also just giving us that feeling of, you know, similarly playing like a very aggressive Ramatra style to something that was very akin to what Hadi used to do on the Reinhardt, and basically you're still throwing hands, whether it's like a big hammer or like actual fists. I don't know.
It's a melee hero. It's half melee hero.
It's fun.
Exactly. Hardy do love swinging at people's faces. Naga's on the Echo here, which is going to be a little bit rough against Sparker on the Cass. So you can see how a little bit timid Naga is playing, but you can't really even play around the middle section here, since you can get TP'd on pretty easily. With Backbone in, you can imagine Team Peps are kind of expecting some sort of Sim or May look. Sim makes the most sense, especially being able to TP up into high ground, or even, to be fair, like he's doing now, down to low. Try and find a right click on somebody. God, it really does remind me of
It's interesting because, like, Naga playing the Echo, like, the Tracer was just so effective when we ended up seeing it on Nepal. And so it's a little bit interesting to watch the Echo that maybe is able to play at a little bit longer range. But maybe that's what the idea is here for Team Peps. Just stay out of that same line of fire, that up close, that style that Spacestation would love to play. And Naga with the duplicate gets a chance to actually dupe the Ramatra.
Yeah, Landon is down. Very, very messy, like, trades there. It was unfortunate they lost Backbone so early, who's going to be a large portion of their damage, especially burning down the Orisa at close range. And Astro landed that beat. They killed FD God, but, I mean, not having your Sim there was a little bit rough. It was actually Peps come out on top at the very end, but because it was so scrappy, they're not going to be able to get a ton of bot push, but they get positioning. Positioning for Exodial here is going to be key to success, especially with this overclock. Oh, High Noon.
Yeah. You want to take that off angle here, but High Noon first, maybe.
Yep, he's going to go back.
Something.
Oh, Exodia didn't see that one coming, did you? Oh my word, wasn't even looking at it. Oh
so.
My, FD got almost AJ'd. Well, FD God is jumping into the back line. Somehow stayed alive. Spark is still up though, still clicking heads, but is it going to be enough? They've only got the Lucio for heals. No, 3 members of Peps there descending on the Cassidy's positioning. Is that Landon? Yeah, he's dead. Goodbye, Landon. Space Station ended up losing that one too, even though after that tricky High Noon ended up taking down Exodial. It looks like Peps will take the lead.
Yeah, I mean, Team Peps, very economical fight for them too. Use the rush, use the sound barrier, versus whatever Space Station threw at that fight. It feels good to just only have had 2 ultimates used there. So you were able to have this duplicate up once again, and with Naga duplicating the Ramatra in the last one, it's just so much point presence.
The copy on the Ram in a small corridor. Oh, unfortunately you don't have enough health to survive that spam damage. But Tread definitely does. Missed the spear onto Sparker, and Sparker dips behind the window again, just boom, straight in the head. Kills Tread with a nice little headshot. Good stuff there. That looked almost unlosable there for Peps. They ended up killing Landon so early on. And they had a duplication. If Naga ended up getting the annihilation there, that was pretty over for Space Station, but they managed to even it up. Astro was busy taxiing Landon, so they should be back in just a moment. They got sound barrier too. FT got us 50% away from his, so they could play a big tempo play if they wanted to. Maybe TP in the back, hit the beat, go for the back line. Force that Suzu
Yeah,
or good
they
senior
absolutely
rush.
could.
Or the Swift Step, sorry, first. Would be helpful.
Yeah, you have a lot of things you got to keep track of in order to make an aggressive sound barrier play like that work. But if one thing is for sure, Space Station, they can do that, and they will.
All right, Exodia will use that overclock. Hit Sparker in the head, but he still had some of that over health from the sound barrier. And of all things to die to, a Vortex, I'm sure, wasn't in the mind of Exodial. And that will be checkpoint for Space Station as well. Rush beat available for Team Peps, but unable to use it before that checkpoint was taken. And any meterage after this is going to be tough to reclaim for Peps here.
Yeah, because now you're in a territory where Space Station have like a clear advantage, having the checkpoint, being able to just kite away from this. Annihilation.
He's done it again.
Oh my god.
He just hits the high noon, hits the TP. My word. It's so hard to lock down the cash. You're like, yeah, just shoot him. He's walking at like 1 mile an hour. But no, he just TPs halfway across the map, uses the portal gun, gets back. Team Peps ended up using the sound barrier in that fight too, and Space Station is still running it down. Naga looking like they want to go on a flank. Duplication straight onto the ram, perhaps. Again, makes the most sense to me. He's been spotted, though.
Yeah, but a window again. Yeah, spotted, and there's another window from Landon.
Huge TP, now just pop the window up and you're all Gucci. Level 1 Croak so low. Nice magnate as well from Sparker. Just pins down level 1 Croak, no swift step. And the duplication easily dealt with because of that window. Rotation from Space Station Gaming as they see the bot was stolen, but Exodial was the only one there to try and take the bot away from Space Station. I mean, they lose a couple of meters there, sure. Team Peps kind of falling apart right now at the seams.
It's looking so rough because you have 4 minutes left and there's still such a huge meterage that you're going to have to make up for this team.
No TP for you. Hardy dragged straight back in with a Terror Surge. That was rather cheeky.
That's all right. I mean, I like Hadi at this point. Like, I think he could do anything, and as long as it's not inting, I think that Space Station's gonna be fine.
Me to my ranked teammates.
Yeah, I guess
if you do anything except for int, we're good. We're good, please. Nice little wall. These walls are fantastic as well, Rose. Look at how much rotational space they get. They just walk past them completely, just ignore the high ground and just like, oh, well, now we can just TP under low if we really want to.
This ends now.
Here comes the overclock, though, from Exodial. Instant Vortex and a sound barrier, too. Exodial is going to have a rough time getting any kills here. It's actually Tread that goes down first. 98 meters and counting. Space Station Gaming taking control, understanding the win conditions of Peps, and just handing them slap after slap around the face, honestly. It is real rough for Team Peps right now.
So rough. You still have 3 minutes, and the map isn't over until it's over, but the meterage lead is getting even larger for Space Station. You've got another rotation of ultimates to work with, and Team Peps have nothing outside of this sound barrier. So FD God, once again, has to come in super clutch, and Tread's already half.
FD God went in, sound barrier went in, insta-died to Sparker almost. Crook is 1 HP. Naga was trying that whole time to get some poke damage in the backline, but just not to be. And now, with a high noon, maybe Space Station Gaming can force a couple of extra ultimates out here from Peps because they're close to just finishing it.
I think they could. At this point, Naga coming in with a duplicate to at least dupe the Ramatra does give Team Peps a leg to stand on when it comes to this defense, but Space Station was being so tricky with these teleporter plays, and they've got another high noon ready for a flank Cassidy.
And you're forced to use ults. There's the rush, sound barrier straight back in. Tread's got no CDs left, and a high noon from the high ground after teleporting. Sparker is just laying waste to Team Peps. And that just is going to be a full cap. Space Station Gaming going to take this series. I mean, Zodial, I mean, you have to just perform profit levels of carrying to get this game under your control. Space Station Gaming looking at a full cap. This Terror Surge not going to result in too much. A kill, maybe, okay, Naga gets one as well. Is it enough? Not entirely sure, but with 1 minute and 30 seconds to go, it's looking incredibly unlikely.
It is looking very, very unlikely. Even though if there was that big play at the very end of the road, Space Station can take another quick fight here, and with only 1 minute and 20 seconds left, all they gotta do is play keep away from Team Peps. And the onus is on Team Peps here to have to make up this huge deficit, and it's gonna require, what, 3-4 team fight wins in a row in order for them to be able to do that, and we're gonna be in overtime in a minute.
Just stack ults pretty much, right? Stack 5, walk at them. Easy game, like you said.
Yeah, Annihilation, Amplification Matrix, put the Photon Barrier up, you're good.
High noon, up to the high ground. Surely they don't fall for it again. Oh, beautiful spear onto low. Receives the lamps, is still shooting as Crook ends up falling down to Astro of all people. There's 30 seconds to go and Peps have forced a sound barrier. Exodial on the flank right now, takes to the high ground. London ends up falling, but still, they're trading. And that's not what you want if you're Peps right now. You can't be satisfied with trades.
It's just not enough. It's just not enough because you want clean, decisive team fight wins. You want to get your ultimate advantage if you can, and FD God has to go back to taxi Exodial to get back to this fight. So the bot is, it's not being taken care of. There's nobody left there to watch it, and now you're in overtime with a second left.
Smart play though from Team Peps. They're not pushing the bot into the territory of Space Station. Copy from Naga. Goes over to the Sim. Pretty fast ult generation, but here comes the annihilation. Good luck dealing with that one, Peps. I think that's it for Space Station realistically. 3-0 against Team Peps. Upper bracket. It wants to be theirs. They have dreamed of this moment, making it all the way to the finals. Got knocked out super early against Oblivione last main event. And they're making a statement here, starting their first game off with a 3-0.
What a stellar performance from Space Station. It looks really good to be able to see them get that win. And I'm so curious to hear what the desk has to say about that Ramatra brawl we ended up seeing.
You know, I think that was a really impressive series for me from Space Station Gaming. Johnny, over on the other side of the table. I don't like being this far.
Are we debating?
I don't like being
we
this
ready to
far,
debate?
Johnny.
Space between the two of you.
Yeah, look, I don't want to be too close to Jake.
It's like the space between our hearts, you know?
Space between our hearts.
It's so
distant. So poetic.
You're so distant from me now, Johnny.
Yeah, it is kind of awkward. But
So we had to step away, so she'll be back with us shortly.
She'll be back, probably.
Listen, I kind of like this scene. I mean, I'm taking over.
Pulls Jake. He's in charge.
No, but we're going to check out the winning comms moment here, see how Space Station's feeling. I think they're going to be having a little bit of fun with it. That match looked like a lot of fun to me from Space Station's perspective. Let's see what they had to say in that winning moment, though.
Can we peek over? Peek over? Yeah, it's crossing. You guys take it, I don't. I got TB, I got TB, I got TB, I pushed it above.
Not bad. Worth it for the Twitter clip.
Bro, I really saw a world where we lost and I got fired.
I like everyone just goes silent when they know they won. This is not even like a real match for them. They're like, yeah, maybe they realized they would win this match quite a while ago.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Well, they did have a 100-meter lead at the very last fight. So, you know, they kind of had a hint, Jake. They kind of had a hint that they were already victorious. But there were really good comps, though, for the last fight.
Yeah, they were still locked in. They have a long way to go ahead of this, right? Like, Peps was the first obstacle, but they kind of batted them away with no worries, right? And so I think this BAP Cassidy could look really good for Space Station going forward. Sparker and Landon incredibly comfortable on their heroes. I think Peps, they had their moments too. They had some of these aggressive pushes, but they just felt so anxious as a team. Like every time they're just rushing in, initiating. FD God permanently just beating it aggressively. I don't think it worked a single time. I'm pretty sure that's not how you're supposed to play this comp. But they just felt the pressure from Sparker and Landon. They're just getting domed by these poke heroes before the fight starts, and they just start running it down on the Lucio. And it's just they're not able to win against Sparker, really. I mean, this guy was taking over the series. Sure, Exodial, he had some big moments, especially these overclocks opened up the game, but that's the value of the Cassidy. You're so consistent with that damage output, you don't need to wait for the ultimate. High Noon, maybe a cosmetic ultimate in some circumstances, but sometimes with that Sim TP, it becomes a whole different animal.
I think it is so impressive how Space Station has carved out their identity of being in so much control. I mean, these Symmetra Cassidy teleporters are just beautiful, the way they're manipulating the map and always making it difficult for your opponents. And that is what playing this Ramatra BAP Cassidy composition just gives you. When you're playing Sojourn, win condition, a lot of the time you need to find railgun kills, but with Cassidy you can kind of manipulate the enemy tracer movement. Sparker is so proficient at getting picks. He was just on fire this entire game, but really just the entire team, they're so good at controlling what their opponent is doing. Okay, if you're going to aggro beat, we have a perfect disengage. Funny Astro consistently got the better beats, so it was a really well-played 3-0 from Space Station, and they looked like they were in control throughout.
Yeah, and of course, player of the match for Sparker. I mean, gosh, we were on his POV. It felt like 2/3 of this match because, I mean, he's just eating them alive on the Cassidy, right? Headshot after headshot, just raining in the damage, putting on so much pressure. Half of the plays from Team Peps are just shut down before they even begin because Sparker just has an opening kill on the walk-up. It's kind of the weakness of Orisa, right? She does incredible damage, and Cassidy, if you don't get a kill in those first couple seconds, that Orisa gets on you, it's all over. So Sparker, under tremendous pressure from this aggression,
now look at these
unbothered.
TPs, Jake. These TPs, Jake.
Yeah.
Like, they're so beautiful.
Really gives, I mean, that's like a Space Station Gaming special. I don't know if there's a better team in the whole world at manipulating the sim TP, and Sparker, he knows exactly how to play around it on the hit scan.
Oh my.
I think this is a really, you know, it's not a combo you can run all the time, but as a mix-up, it's so powerful.
Whoa!
This is so tricky. I mean, it's become so much harder to play against High Noon, right? That's the weakness of High Noon. It's so immobile.
Yep.
But with a sim TP, you know, it's incredibly hard to play against. You want to just hide, but you don't really have that option. So
and look, shout out to Backbone as well.
Yeah,
you know,
this is team play.
We always praise Backbone for his Symmetra and, you know, his mate play. He's so smart. He's so cerebral, as you know, Bren would have liked to say. He's so cerebral in his play. But it really holds true. I mean, that is why Space Station Gaming is so good. You know, the communication is on top, but also their team play and coordination is just pristine. So what an amazing 3-0.
Yeah, impressive work from them. Let's hear it from the man himself. We do have Sparker on the line for the interview. Sparker, welcome. What a performance from you, man. What an incredible showing. You just ate them up on Cassidy. I got to ask, how does it feel to be bringing back the Cassidy BAP, a look we haven't seen as much from you guys for a while? How does it feel? You feel like this is the best look in the meta? You think other teams are wrong to play Orisa still?
It feels pretty good to me. We're just beating everyone right now, so I think everyone else has the wrong read on the meta so far.
Oh, so when you say wrong read on the meta, do you think that everyone should be playing mostly like Ramatra, BAP, Cassidy? Do you feel like teams are in the wrong for playing more Sojourn, perhaps?
Yeah, I don't get why people play Sojourn. It's just, I don't see the point. It's worse than Cass in every way.
Wait, expand on that. What do you think Sojourn is not good anymore? Because Sojourn has been so dominant in Overwatch 2. What changed?
I think it's just like the HP change, probably. You just have a 275 cast running around 2-tapping people. You have damage reduction on every ability. I don't see how Soj is better, to be honest.
Yeah, right. Soj no longer one-hitting from full HP, and you know Cassidy, he never did that, right? Cassidy has always been a 2-tapping hero, and so I think you make a fair point that there, you know, I think the team looks a lot more dynamic with the Cassidy. You're not waiting on rail, you're not, you know, like waiting for the certain timing on the slide. You're kind of always ready to push, and it seems to me that, I mean, at least Peps, they were not ready for this. Like they're just running it down into you guys, but it looks a little bit hopeless for them. I guess, what do you think for your team going forward? Are you looking at any of the other teams that maybe you've scrimmed against? And is there anyone you're more worried about? Or any opponents like what about those top teams from the last stage and Twisted Minds? How do you see them ranking right now based on recent scrims?
It's probably us at number 1 easily, and then just SSG. I mean, wait.
Number 1 and number 2.
Nah, and second, and then just a tier break probably between there and everyone else.
Wow, very confident.
Yeah.
That's good to see, though.
Yeah, I want to ask you quickly, like, what changed between stage 1 and 2, because obviously stage 1, I think a little bit of a disappointment because, you know, you did end up losing to EXO, and maybe you were aiming for more there, being in the finals even. So, like, going into stage 2, what did the team talk about? How did you change things going into stage 2? Was there some like dramatic change in the way you practiced or communicated? What has Space Station changed in stage 1?
Well, we changed our comp, so I think we're way more comfortable playing like sim, CAS, RAM, like rush style instead of the dive. So I think like our 2 years experience together, just this comp just works way better and more consistent.
Okay, all right. I got one final question, unless you guys...
No. Go ahead, Johnny. Go ahead.
All right. How much is Hardy trying to bring out the Reinhardt? Like, let's be honest.
He's got to be tempted in this comp.
Hey, it it has its situations, okay?
Hey, Ryan got buffed. Hold up.
Shambali.
Wait, Ryan got buffed, guys. Low key.
It might come out. Might come out.
I'm saying don't play Sig against Space Station, or you will be facing down Ryan.
Don't play Brig Bap or something.
Somebody
like that.
bring out the Sigma. I want to see the Hottie Ryan. I want to see the Hottie Ryan. The people have been waiting too long. Wow. All right. Thank you so much, Parker. Congratulations on the MVP and a great win to open here at the main event. Looking forward to see you guys continue to dominate this upper bracket. You do look like a different team than we saw from stage 1. Potentially on the road to Dallas. Going to be exciting. So thanks so much, Parker.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Parker.